Savannah Guthrie's 84-year-old mother, Nancy Guthrie, has been missing for days, and this is not your ordinary missing person situation. What was first a worried family search has quickly escalated into a full-blown criminal investigation, with local law enforcement now saying Nancy may have been abducted from her home in the quiet Catalina foothills area just north of Tucson, Arizona. It all began late on the evening of Saturday, January 31st, 2026, when Nancy was dropped off at her residence by family members after dinner. It seemed like a normal night, but the next morning, when Nancy didn't show up for church, friends became alarmed and called her loved ones, and that's when everything changed. When her family went to check on her, she was simply gone. Nothing about her disappearance fits the pattern of someone who walked away on their own. Law enforcement officials immediately noticed red flags that would chill anyone's spine. Her wallet was left behind, her phone was untouched on the charger, and even her vehicle remained parked in the driveway. For someone who relies on daily medication to survive, these weren't just odd details, they were terrifying clues. She was mentally sharp, authorities said, but physically limited, unable to walk even a short distance unaided. There was no indication she left voluntarily. Within hours, the Pima County Sheriff's Department began referring to the residence as a crime scene. Deputies combed through the home and discovered very concerning evidence inside, strong enough that homicide and criminal investigation teams were brought in. Suspicion grew that Nancy might not just be missing, she could have been taken from her own home against her will, possibly in the middle of the night while she was asleep. That's the working theory law enforcement is now pursuing as they scour every possible lead. Sheriff Chris Nanos has not held back in describing the seriousness of the situation. He stressed that Nancy's limited mobility and physical health issues make it almost impossible for her to have wandered off. He described the scene at the home as inconsistent with a voluntary disappearance and said investigators are now treating the case as a criminal investigation, not just a search for a missing person. Investigators have even collected samples that they hope will yield DNA evidence to help establish what happened. The urgency of the case is intensified by Nancy's medical needs. She requires medication every single day, and officials have warned that going more than 24 hours without it could have life-threatening consequences. That puts an unimaginable amount of pressure on this search. Every minute that passes brings growing worry for her health and safety. Savannah Guthrie, the beloved co-anchor of NBC's Today Show, has understandably stepped away from her on-air duties to be with her family. In a heartfelt public statement, she thanked law enforcement and the public for their support and urged everyone to keep praying, keep hoping, and keep looking for answers. Savannah shared a moving message on social media, speaking of faith, love, and the power of collective hope, a plea to the world to unite in bringing her beloved mom home safely. Public figures, fellow journalists, colleagues, and fans have rallied around Savannah and her family, with emotional messages flooding social media. Co-hosts on the Today Show have spoken candidly about the situation, with Jenna Bush Hager and others highlighting how critical it is that Nancy has not been able to access her daily medicine. Craig Melvin urged those watching to help in any way possible, reminding everyone that someone out there might know something, and any bit of information could be vital. Law enforcement has echoed that sentiment, asking the public for help in reviewing any surveillance footage, dashcam videos, or unusual activity in the neighborhood from that Saturday night through the early hours of Sunday morning. They've asked residents and anyone in the area to come forward with even the smallest detail: a car seen driving slowly, someone walking in an unusual direction, anything that might help place Nancy's whereabouts. Investigators have even pulled neighborhood security footage and checked digital timestamps, looking for anything that could give them a break in the case. The FBI, U.S. Customs and Border Protection units, and search and rescue teams, including drones and canine units, have joined the effort to coordinate searches around the home and nearby areas. Despite modern technology and massive manpower, as of now, there are no confirmed sightings, no arrests, and no solid lead on where Nancy could be. The timeline here is critical. Nancy was last seen around 9:30 to 9:45 p.m. on January 31st, and her absence was reported the next day when she didn't show up for her planned Sunday morning activities. By Monday, authorities made clear they were shifting their focus from a general search to a criminal investigation, telling the public that the evidence collected points towards foul play. For those unfamiliar with Savannah Guthrie's life, this adds another deeply human layer to a national story. Savannah was born in Australia and raised in Arizona. Her father died when she was a teenager, and her bond with her mother has always been described as strong and unshakable. Nancy was not just Savannah's mom, she was a guiding presence in her life, a woman of strength, humor, faith, and adventure. Friends and colleagues have spoken about Nancy's vivacious personality and the special relationship she shared with her daughter. Now, with the world watching and her family pleading for help, the situation remains extremely concerning. Authorities have not ruled out any possibilities. They are investigating every angle, following up on tips, and continuing to treat the disappearance as an active, open criminal investigation. The community around Tucson has also joined in, with neighbors volunteering in searches, offering support, and keeping watchful eyes on their own cameras and surroundings. The last known information we have right now is that Nancy's home remains a crime scene, that her disappearance is considered suspicious and likely criminal, and that no trace of her has yet been found. Law enforcement continues to push hard for tips and information, and Savannah Guthrie continues to advocate publicly, thanking supporters, sharing updates, and urging unity, faith, and vigilance. This is an evolving situation, and as days go on without answers, the emotional weight of this story only grows. Friends, fans, and strangers alike are praying, sharing Nancy's story, and holding out hope that she will be found safe. But the chilling reality remains. An elderly woman, beloved by her family and community, vanished from her home under circumstances that now have investigators treating this as a possible abduction. The world is watching, the family is waiting, and the search continues. Make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more celebrity updates just like this.